to Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Just in time for Halloween, Around Kansas shares some spooky stories, starting first with the book Ghost Towns of Kansas by Dr. Daniel C. Fitzgerald, and the story of a ghost that some say still haunts the Statehouse in Topeka. Then enjoy a poem from Ron Wilson, and we'll end with a creepy story about the Sallie House in Atchison. Stay tuned, if you dare. Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. This segment is brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. Just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road. Wow, it's Wednesday, early morning again. I'm Frank.
And I'm Deb, and it is almost November. October is almost gone.
I know, and that's too bad. October's my favorite month of the year.
Mine too. You know, my favorite part of October?
What?
Pumpkin lattes. Doggone it, I wanted one so badly this morning and just couldn't find a parking spot.
Week after week, we keep saying coffee, please coffee. I mean, we could stop and get it, but you know.
Really? I know, we could.
We're busy and we just get here in time to sit down and do this, of course.
So
stars and all that kind of stuff.
It's early too, and so we need to arrange to have somebody have a pumpkin latte waiting for us or whatever.
Yeah, well, maybe one of the ghosts will go get something here today.
That's right.
This one right here.
Yeah.
This is our Halloween show.
So happy Halloween, everybody. Have a great one this weekend. Are you dressing up, Frank?
Oh, probably. I'll come as me. That's scary enough.
Yeah, we were going to put on masks this morning, but then we decided, hey, you know, this is pretty scary, and if I had not put any makeup on, you'd have really been terrified this morning. That's one reason I run late. It takes a while.
Well, you know, last week was the second time that the Jayhawk Theater showed the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and let me tell you, a lot of people showed up in costume. And if you haven't seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show for some time, because this was the 40th anniversary of it. Anyway, it'll be on again next year, so come see it.
You know, adults love dressing up better than the kids do, I think.
Yeah. It's become a big business for costume places and party shops and all that. So.
I dressed up like a gypsy one year, and we were going with the kids trick-or-treating. My sister ran over my foot, and I wound up in the emergency room dressed up as a gypsy. And I'll never forget the x-ray tech is, you know, he's x-raying my foot, and he just keeps looking, you know, like this. And I'm like, I don't normally look like this. And he's like, hey, lady, whatever works for you. You know, it's like, I'm like, okay, that's.
But fix it or else.
Yeah, really, just fix it. I got fortunes to tell, you know, so get me back on the road here, buddy.
Yeah, so anyway, today, well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, we've got some great stories for you today.
Yeah, they're going to be ghost stories today, so we hope that you'll enjoy this, and we become part of your Halloween.
So, Frank, you got some great ghost stories from Noto.
Well, yeah. The WREN studio is in the Noto Arts District. You know, it's renradio.net, oldies. Anyway, shortly after we moved in, it's an open studio, and it's in the Arts District, so we had art up on the wall. And I would come in, and about midway down the wall, there would be one of the pictures would be kind of askew. So I would straighten it, and then I'd go back and make coffee and come back, and it would be tilted again. Well, I don't like to see pictures. I must have been Jesse James or something, so I'd straighten it. And this happened time after time after time, that particular picture would be askew. And so I thought, well, so I rehung it and the whole thing, and it still continued to happen. It's like something weird's going on here. We had a ghost show on at one time, and they had a medium as a guest, and she walked in the door and just stopped. And she said, "There's a man back there." And one of our guys was there and said, "Yeah, hi, it's me." And said, "No, not you. There's a guy back there by the coffee." Okay, so we were all going, really? And she thought maybe his name was Howard.
Howard the Ghost,
Howard the Ghost.
our next show.
Yeah, but we haven't seen him now in some time, so it must be that we're used to him, or he's used to us, or he just wanted us to know, hey, welcome to Noto, or whatever. But it was kind of creepy there for a while.
What a great story.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
We're back in the Twilight Zone here. This is our Halloween show on Around Kansas. We never did introduce ourselves. I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And we're here every Wednesday morning. Hope you are too. So we're doing ghost stories today. And there are a lot of ghost stories all around the state. Of course, there are all around the world. But this is Kansas. So anyway, you have a book.
Well, I found this book. This is a classic in Kansas, Ghost Towns Around Kansas. And it was written, I think, in the 80s. And Dan Fitzgerald, who did it, had done research on all these towns. So, you know me, I love tying the history in. So this does a great job of tying the history. You know, without history, there'd be no hauntings because it's all about what happened in the past, and that's why you have ghosts. So for those like me who like to just explore the state, this is a great guide to places that used to be or you know, were there for a short while and there's nothing but foundations left. And a reminder, you have to be careful. A lot of this is on private property, so you can't just go, you know, without permission onto people's private property. But there's so much that you can see from the road, or that you can walk around, or that you can just experience. And I do love old, creepy, abandoned buildings. And you can go on Facebook. There's so many groups now on Facebook. I live on Facebook. But there's like Abandoned Kansas, Abandoned Missouri, you know, all these states that have some just awesome photographs and some great stories. So let's take a look at this one. As soon as the Kansas Territory was opened for settlement in 1854, towns sprang up like mushrooms, first along the Missouri border, then steadily westward along trail routes, rivers, and railroad lines. Many of them barely got beyond the drawing board, and hundreds of them flowered briefly and died, victims of the boom or bust economy of the frontier and the vagaries of weather, finance, mining, agriculture, railroad construction, and politics. Ghost Towns of Kansas by Daniel C. Fitzgerald is a practical guide to these forsaken settlements and a chronicle of their role in the history of Kansas. It focuses on 100 towns that have either disappeared without a trace or are only a shadowy remnant of what they once were, telling the story of each town's settlement, politics, colorful figures and legends, and eventual abandonment or decline. The culmination of more than 10 years of research, this book was published in 1988 and remains a classic. It is a distillation of the author's immensely popular 3-volume work on the state's ghost towns, now out of print. Condensed and redesigned as a traveler's guide, it is organized by region and features 10 maps and detailed instructions for finding each site. 20 of the towns included are discussed for the first time in his volume. The book also contains more than 100 black and white photographs of town scenes. With this guide in hand, travelers and armchair adventurers alike can journey back to the Kansas frontier to places like Octagon City, where settlers signed a pledge not to consume liquor, tobacco, or, quote, the flesh of animals, unquote, in order to purchase land at $1.25 per acre from the Vegetarian Settlement Company. Today, the only remainder of Octagon City is a stream called Vegetarian Creek.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Here's another gardening tip with Annette Jackson from Jackson's Greenhouse.
Fall is a great time to plant perennials, trees, shrubs, and bulbs. Root development occurs with the moist and cool soil conditions, which means better growth next year with less watering and maintenance. The use of mulch on all plantings helps protect from freezing, thawing, and drying out. Let Jackson's help with your next planting.
Jackson's top quality fall bulbs for spring blooming have arrived. Always plant the best bulbs for bigger, better blooms.
Jackson's Greenhouse has what you need today.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Around Kansas, brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook, or visit us online at sftmeats.com.
And we're back, and Frank's got a great haunting story for you next from the Capitol building right across the street. As Frank has said, we're here at the Dillon House, and the Dillon House may have a few ghosts of its own, but we're going to talk some about the Capitol ghost. And you know, the Capitol took a long time to be built. They built the east wing of the Capitol first. Cyrus Holliday actually donated part of the land, I believe, for that. But it took a long time, and then of course the Capitol has just gone through this big refurbishment. If you haven't seen the Capitol, it's your building. Come and see it, and it is spectacular. It's really wonderful. And it's got several ghost stories, actually. So, but one of the ones has a connection to the Dillon House, where we are right now.
Somewhat, yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Coffee? No, we don't have any yet. That's our ghost
Hear
today.
that thumping?
Yeah,
Hear that thumping in the building?
Yeah. Anyway, we're in the Dillon House now. It wasn't here at the time, but in 1901, unfortunately, a worker fell from the dome. And so anyway, Hiram Dillon, who was one of the Dillons that eventually built the Dillon House, had a story. It was in the Capitol Journal at the time. And so it's kind of one of those things that, is he still there? We'll see.
Even after an incredible renovation, some things remain unchanged in the Kansas Statehouse. One of them is the ghost of a laborer who lost his life building the ornate structure. Some of the night security staff and maintenance workers swear they have heard eerie sounds and echoing footsteps. They say chandeliers sway with no breeze. Most reports of such sounds are during rainy, stormy nights. Around 1890, one worker was assigned to fastening plates on the dome of the building. According to some, he stretched his body too far to reach a bolt, lost his balance, and plunged to the ground floor, where he instantly died. Jack Dillon was the son of Hiram Price Dillon, who built the Dillon House, where Around Kansas is filmed. Jack told a newspaper reporter in 1901 that neighborhood children were afraid of the Capitol at night, afraid of seeing the ghost. From the porch of his home on Harrison Street, Jack suddenly stopped mid-story and said, "There, you can hear the ghost at work now." The reporter said everyone listened intently, and sure enough, a noise like someone tapping on the dome could be heard. "That's the ghost," said Dillon. "He's there at work every night." That worker has been heard throughout the decades, hoping to finish his job and maybe claim his monthly pay. Walk by on a rainy night and listen.
Biodiesel made from sustainable resources is diversifying our fuel supply. This year, biodiesel will displace over 1 billion gallons of fossil fuel nationwide. It's making our economy stronger and our communities healthier. It's working here and across America. Get biodiesel going in your community. Visit americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Kansas is sometimes called Tornado Alley, along with Oklahoma and Texas. And those were the very same states where the great cattle drives happened in the post-Civil War era, when the legend of the cowboy came to life. Imagine being on the trail drives in those days without weather radio, weather radar, and all the modern communications we have. This is a serious poem that I wrote. It's titled Terror on the Trail. It was cloudy and dry that hot day in July as we drove cattle up the trail. We were needing rest in our dogged quest to drive them to the Kansas rail. But in the western skies where we turned our eyes, a cloud bank started to build. Then the clouds turned dark. We saw lightning spark as the black clouds grew and filled. The air was muggy. Hoss's eyes went buggy. The cattle were restless and flighty. As the clouds drew near, the boss made it clear, this storm is going to be mighty. Then the sky turned green like nothing we'd seen. The air was so still it was eerie. With nary a bicker, we pulled on our slickers, even though we were bone-tired and weary. Rain started to fallin', the cattle were bawlin', and the clouds started whirling around. We heard a distant roar, then the noise seemed to soar till it filled our ears with the sound. To our terrified stare from the devilish air, a black rope dropped from the skies. With a roar like a train, it plowed across the plain, tossing men, dirt, and cattle like flies. "It's a cyclone, boys," the boss yelled through the noise. "Now it's every man for himself." My loyal horse spooked despite my rebuke as I rode him off a side hill shelf. The cattle stampeded and ran unheeded as brave men rode for their lives. Critters ran pell-mell in the face of this hell and a desperate race to survive. Then the roar started fading, and the sound started trading some raindrops for the cyclone's roar. The rain came in torrents to the rider's abhorrence, like an ocean tide pounding the shore. Then we saw the rain stop, with a few stray raindrops. Of a sudden, the sky was clear blue, but the path of the storm and the death it performed came fully into our view. Dead cattle and a horse along the storm's course gave the killer storm mute testimony. 2 cowhands were dead and 21 head of longhorns plus 1 cow pony. We grieved for our pards, and though it was hard, we buried them there on the plain. Then I mounted my steed and resumed the deed of gathering the herd that remained. Now we made Abilene, but the sights that I've seen will stay in my nightmares without fail. For I saw bodies fly that hellish day in July when a cyclone hit out on the trail. Happy trails.
Hello, I'm Dr. Frank Lyons from Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center here in Manhattan, Kansas. Daryl was one of our patients that we did about 7 months ago.
I dug trees by hand for years and years and years. In the process, I wore out my rotator cuff. But when I learned about this process, I thought if there's a way to get rid of this pain, then I want to do it. So we did it, and it worked. And I'm not going to go out and dig trees with a shovel anymore, but I can do the things that I want to do now.
Well, it's been very gratifying to help people with their painful joints and other entities. And it's been especially gratifying to be able to help people who I know and have worked with and known for many years.
Heinen Brothers, a 4th-generation Northeast Kansas farm family, knows how tough farming can be. Farmers helping farmers. Heinen Brothers Ag, selling and servicing crop protection products, fertilizer, anhydrous ammonia, cover crops, quality aerial and ground application. Call today to learn about our extended term financing program. 800-760-4964. HeinenBrothersAg.com.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Around Kansas, brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. Go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
And we're back again. Our ghost went to somewhere to get us some pumpkin latte this morning.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And not only that, but we kind of freaked out because we heard some murmurings and then figured out it's the guys upstairs. They were talking this morning. So anyway, this is our Halloween show, and I hope you're enjoying our silliness this morning. We have a good time here anyway. So.
You know, I have done a couple of ghost investigations with my good friend Beth Meyer. She used to have a ghost investigation business and has written a couple of books on haunted Kansas, so look up her stuff. Beth invited me to an investigation in Old Constitution Hall one time, and it was when she first got into the business, and so we're sitting down there in the dirt in Constitution Hall on Kansas Avenue, and I had a conversation with Franklin Crane. It was really interesting. He's been dead for, I don't know, at least 100 years. So it was really, really interesting. So a lot of people are into that, and of course the town that has the biggest reputation in Kansas is Atchison. So have you ever been up to do one of their haunted tours?
I have not, but I have heard they are quite spectacular.
I haven't either, so that's on my list. And I've got, I know that they've been on TV. I've seen some of the documentaries or some of the ghost specials, about Atchison. So lots of really interesting things up there, and they have really capitalized on their ghost population for tourism. So let's take a closer look. Browsing through old newspapers can turn up some pretty interesting stories, especially appropriate for this time of year. Atchison, Kansas has capitalized on its ghostly inhabitants, and its haunted tours are sellouts around Halloween. Thousands of people flock to the city hoping to catch a glimpse of a real ghost. The Chamber of Commerce won't guarantee that spirits show up on every tour, but just maybe. Perhaps the most famous haunted site, the Sallie House, has been the subject of television, movies, and a documentary. Stories like this one, from more than 100 years ago, may have helped build the city's haunted reputation. A man had lately died, the paper reported, and strange noises began to fill the house. Neighbors were sitting with the dead man's family in a half-basement room off the kitchen. A stairway led from this room. Suddenly, strange noises were heard coming from upstairs, from the room in which the man had died. There was a noise on the stairway, a noise of some object bumping from one side to another and descending. Then the door opened, and a man's head rolled into the room. The people sitting in the room fled in terror and cannot give much of a description of the head. Not surprisingly, the family stayed with neighbors and refused to go back into the house. The article concluded by saying, "Last night 4 stout young men, armed, stayed in the house, intending to set up all night." We have not found a follow-up report. Perhaps those stout young men from 100 years ago are still there, waiting for a head to roll down the stairs.
Well, happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy hauntings.
Yeah, so I'm Frank.
I'm Deb.
And we'll see you somewhere around Kansas.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
Homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream.
To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agamandkansas.com.